Hello? I don't see anybody on. Hi.
How's it going?
Good, good.
How do
If you are a student, my name is Mike Foy. I'm your regional admissions representative for Illinois. If you are coming on
Hi.
as a student, just go ahead and you can put kind of type in your high school, where you're from, because I know we're spanning all of the Illinois area, so it's quite a large territory. Where you're from, what major you are, just kind of give you a little brief introduction of who you are, and we'll just keep that going. I see Ethan Chan. Welcome.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hey, Ethan, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Where you from?
I'm from Northbrook, Illinois.
Northbrook, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it
Go to
Northbrook High
Glenbrook.
School?
Yeah, I go to Glenbrook North.
Glenbrook, okay. Yep. Know that well. Good. What major did you get admitted in to?
Computer engineering.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, I always say you guys are the cream of the crop. I seen what it takes to get into the school. So, hey, kudos to you. Congratulations. You should be very proud of yourself.
It seems like there's a lot of other people in, but are they just not talking?
They're probably not. How many more? Oh, Noah.
Hey,
Noah
what's
King,
up?
how are you?
I'm doing good.
Fantastic. Are you're from Chicago, or are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Chicago. I go to Plainfield East High School.
Okay. And what major did you get admitted to?
Computer science.
Computer science. Fantastic.
Yeah, I actually got off the wait list this last week.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, well, good. Hey, double congratulations. Yeah. Sometimes it happens, but one thing for sure, you can feel pretty proud of yourself. Like I said, to get in and get a seat is an accomplishment in and of itself, So yeah, so you're from, you said Glenbrook, what? Glenbrook? Noah?
Yeah, from
I'm
Glenbrook.
sorry.
I'm from Plainfield East.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Who's from Plainfield East?
I am.
All right, and we got. All right, is that Grant?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, welcome. And Grant? What major?
Biomedical engineering.
Medical engineering. We have a medical engineer in that. Yeah. I see it in the house. All right. Well, congratulations. Like I said, you guys are the cream of the crop, and you should be very proud of yourself to be admitted and start your career at Cal Poly. And is that Deidre? Oh, did I say that wrong?
No, that's me. Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, it's dear.
Okay. Let me see the last name. I think I spoke to you on the phone. I believe so.
Yes,
Where are you from?
yeah, a couple days
What's
ago.
that?
I'm from Chicago.
Okay.
Chicago.
What high school?
North Side College Prep.
Okay. Well, I visited there, so I probably saw you there. So
Yeah.
great. Well, welcome. What major?
Landscape architecture.
Landscape architecture. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
You all been doing exactly what you needed to do to compete and get in, and you should be proud of yourself. Okay, and is that Kendra? Okay, I can only get half of the name. Is it Alexandra or is it Kendra?
Alexandra, yeah.
Oh, how are you? I can't see it all. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Fantastic.
Nice outside, finally.
Where are you from? What high
I'm
school?
from Naperville. I go to Naperville Central.
Okay. Yep. Know it well. Well, again, congratulations and
My
thanks
major
for.
is architecture, but I'm hoping to minor in something. I don't know what yet, but we'll see.
Okay. Okay. Well, fantastic. Fantastic. You probably work with your advisor, real closely to figure out what that's going to be. Okay. Any more coming in? I'm just, is that about it? Let me see. Let me make sure. Oh, Will.
How's it going?
I'm fantastic. You can speak up. Just say, hey,
Sorry, yeah, I wasn't sure if you were calling.
hey, I'm an
people
old
out.
athlete. You can just kind of, say, hey, you forgot me.
Gotcha.
I'm not very sensitive. So
Gotcha.
tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm from the Evanston area, so I go to Evanston Township High School.
sure. Know it
Um,
well.
and and so I got admitted into the liberal arts the school, and so overall I'm undecided as a major, but that's
Okay.
the
Well,
school that I got accepted into.
fantastic. I was in the College of Liberal Arts at the University of Minnesota.
Great.
Graduated in speech communication. I'll tell you a little bit more about the good and the bad about that. You guys are doing the right thing. Coming to Cal Poly, it's a learn by doing facility, and it makes all the difference. Caused me a lot of headache, but you guys will be on the winning side of it. Fantastic. All right. All right, Michelle.
Hi, that's me.
Okay, how you doing? You're trying to hide out, I see. Uh-huh.
Hi, know. Not really. My volume wasn't on before, and I had this in a different tab. So then I
Okay.
checked in, and I was like, "Oh God, what are we doing?" But
Okay.
I'm here.
All right. All right. Well, like I said, welcome everyone. I am really excited to speak with you all. We're going to give it maybe another couple of minutes to see if anybody else is coming in, and then we'll just get on with the show, as they say in Hollywood. As you can see from the background, I'm in sunny California. No, that's not true. I'm right here in Chicago with you. I actually am I'm from Crete, Illinois. Anybody know Crete, Illinois?
No, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, I know. It's so big. Everybody, it's almost like going to a different side of the earth, north to south. All right, we'll give it a couple more seconds and then we'll just get started. So anybody want to share their day, since this is probably the only day you got to go out and actually enjoyed it?
I built chairs today.
You built chairs.
Yeah, in my backyard.
See, I was telling everybody from California that people are out and about. One, we can't go out, very much. There's nowhere to go out, but now we got the weather on our side. It's like, you're going to take advantage of it, right? So anyone else? All right, well, let's get started. My name is Mike Foy. I am the regional admissions manager for the state of Illinois. And just a little bit about myself. I think I explained to you, I am not a graduate from Cal Poly University. I'm gonna tell you a little story about that. Everybody knows that Cal Poly is a learn by doing facility, learn by doing institution. When I first came on board, I thought it was just a slogan. I'm coming from the business sector, and I thought, wow, that's a neat slogan. After visiting the campus and getting acquainted with what Cal Poly was all about, I found that it's more than a slogan. It is a way of teaching. And then I thought back on when I graduated. I was a first generation graduate, very proud of myself when I got that degree. So I ran out, obviously to do some interviewing, and one door after the other was slammed because I didn't have any experience. And it took me about 8 months to land a job, a job that I wanted. And it was pretty, discouraging because obviously I was, like I said, I thought I hit the pinnacle when I got the degree. I remember one of my interviewers, it's just, I said, well, I wrestled and I went to school and got my degree. And he picked up a pile of resumes and he said, well, they all have their degrees. Well, I did get that experience. Somebody felt sorry for me, and I got the experience and became an executive in the pharmaceutical industry. And the first thing I asked when I hired many people is I asked them, well, what kind of experience do you have? It means so much because that experience is going to save your company, the company that you are interviewing with. It's going to, at least the company that I was with, it saved us over $100,000 we were going to invest into that individual. If I found somebody with experience, we were able to, we were wanting to get that person quickly because day one, they were going to make money for us. And that's what you guys are, I guess you're starting out into, is that you're going to have not only a great education, a great and a worthwhile degree, you're going to also have that experience, that hands-on experience. It's the experience that is going to save company a lot of money, and that is invaluable. So here's the deal. You're embarking on that trail because Cal Poly is that kind of institution. You're going to be ahead of the game. I want to also thank some of the parents who are on the call. If they're anywhere around or if they're on the call, I want to give them a special thanks for, I had 6 children. So I know how hard it is to manage, your daily life as well as manage the in and out of having a family. So if you guys haven't already, give them a special thanks because they put a lot into it for your career and supporting, your dreams. We already went through a name call. I mean, we got a few more than we would usually have, so we're not going to go through everybody telling where they're from. Again, I know that some of you are from the Chicagoland area. Some of you actually live in the broader Illinois state. So, as we go through this, I want to convey, and Cal Poly University want to convey how excited we are about what you've done and and your future with us. But we do want to acknowledge some of the things that are going on in the world. It's historic. I'm not a young guy and I've seen a lot of things, and this is all new to me. It's one of those things that it basically stopped the world, and I know how it affects you. We feel for you as an institution. Personally, I know, the things that I've experienced my senior year, it was nothing like what you had to go through. And we just wanted to acknowledge that, know that we are, like I said, hoping for the best for you. And my philosophy, I alluded to the fact that I was an athlete, and one of the things that I learned, and it was positive attitude. And the saying goes, is easy, that 90% is what happens to me. I mean, 90% is what, 90% is, I'm sorry, let me get this right. 10% is what happens to me in life, and 90% is my attitude. So you guys just keep on having that positive attitude so that, you're gonna do well in your studies and make a mark on this world. So enough of that. Like I said, I like to stick with the positives. A little housekeeping notes. We want to make sure that you are muted out so that, as we go on, we're going to have a lot of information being passed along so that, we won't disturb anybody. So if you haven't already, take a moment to mute your audio. And also, if you feel comfortable, a lot more comfortable with turning off your cameras, go right ahead. I'll give you a second to do that. All right, and just a real quick note: we have made available, we uploaded in the chat box some resources that you can feel free to download any of the files. This session is basically to give information about our institution, so that you can ask questions, get information from these the panel of speakers. And like I said, this is not the time to feel shy. If you have a question, put it right in that chat box. Let us examine it. We'll give it the attention it needs, so that you can get the answers that you need to make your decision if you haven't already. All right, so talked about the answers, the questions and answers we're going to have at the end. We want to convey a lot of the important dates. Make sure that you understand the deadlines that are going to that you're going to have to meet. We are probably going to, we're going to go over a lot of, like I said, the specific information that you're going to need to make that decisions. And if you need more, that's what the chat box, all that information we downloaded on the chat box, give you financial information, financial aid information, things of that. So take a moment, like I said, peruse the chat box, so that you can familiarize yourself with those specific questions. You probably apply to Cal Poly because of the strength of our academics, and that's generally why most students do. We also, like I mentioned before, the advantage of starting your major day one is important because, like I said, you're going to be competing with those guys that's going to the traditional institutions. And, instead of waiting until your junior year, you're going to get that education right up front. You're going to be able to digest it. And also with the learn by doing, it's going to be embedded, because the best way to retain information, obviously, is to do it. Probably most importantly, you're thinking, well, guess what? What is it going to be like living the next 4 or 5 years here on campus? And what would that degree mean to me? And how can it, what can I achieve with it in life? Well, that's what this panel of fine individuals will tell you, is exactly what it meant to them. We have, like I said, you're going to hear from some alumni, you're going to hear from a parent perspective. You're basically going to get the full range of information so that you can make that decision right away. All right. So I just lost mine. Okay. All right, you should know by now, right now, that the San Luis Obispo, I'm sure you, excuse me? San Luis Obispo is located smack dead in the middle between San Francisco and, excuse me, San Francisco and Los Angeles. We about 10 minutes from several beaches. We're a college town. Just real briefly on the college town, I, again, did not have that kind of experience. We were right next to Minneapolis, so we contended with all the professional sports, and 90% of our campus was a commuter college. They were commuting, so Fridays, Saturdays, basically everybody disappeared, and we didn't have that college life. I can go on and tell you about that, but my mom used to always say, I can show you better than I can tell you. So why don't we take a look at this video, and you can get an idea of what I'm talking about.
How you start each new day says a lot about you. At Cal Poly, we begin as we always have, by putting knowledge into action. We call it Learn by Doing. And for more than a century, we've made this idea the center of everything we do. We believe that experience is part of the curriculum. We don't see any difference between education and the real world. We know that it's the best way to learn and keep learning for the rest of our lives. So when we begin our day, we dive right in, head first and hands-on, because we're not satisfied to sit on the sidelines of our own education. And we know that if we want to make an impact on our world tomorrow, we have to put in the work today. If at first we don't succeed, we rework, rearrange, reimagine, redesign, rethink, rebuild, and refuse to give up. Because our state, our nation, and our world need us to be ready from day one, to take what we learn by doing and use it to help build a brighter future. How you start each day says a lot about you. How you spend your day says even more about how you'll start your career and how you'll live your life. Because it's one thing to be ready one day, and it's quite another to be ready day one.
Well, no truer words have ever been said because it affected my life, and I didn't know about Cal Poly at the time that I graduated. Had I known, I probably would have made sure that I integrated some kind of experience along with my degree. So what we're going to do is listen to student life. I mean, you probably want to know a little bit about that perspective. I can't give that to you. So that's why we have Grace Lauder and Bree Zedder. I think I said it right. They're both three-year students. I mean, the third-year students, and they majoring in architecture and business, respectively. With no further ado, I don't know who's going to start first. Grace.
Sure, I can start. Hi, y'all. My name is Grace Lauer. I'm a third-year architecture major with a minor in sustainable environment. I'm actually from Edina, Minnesota, so fellow Midwesterner. Yeah, and then Bree's also from Ohio, so we've got the out-of-state perspective as well. My pronouns are she, her, hers, but I'm currently in SLO still, so I'm going to be taking spring quarter classes from San Luis Obispo instead of Minneapolis. But I'm just going to talk a little bit about what my life looks like at Cal Poly. So I am an architecture student, and I am the oldest, and being from the Midwest gave me a lot of opportunity to look all over the country. Cal Poly was actually the only California school that I looked at, and I ended up here. My parents thought like, oh, max distance away she can go is 2,000 miles. I actually ended up at that university, not out of spite for my parents, but rather just my love for Cal Poly in general. Architecture, I've wanted to be an architect since I was very young, so I'm very lucky that I knew that like declaring my major primarily like right off the bat as a freshman was something that I was looking for in a university, and Cal Poly definitely catered to that interest. But being a third year now, like I've kind of been around Cal Poly for a while and love it so dearly. There are definitely things I wish I could change, but being a Poly rep has definitely helped me like forge my own path at Cal Poly. So obviously, like what are Poly reps? Bree and I are on-campus tour guides. We are the official ambassadors for Cal Poly. So we actually just finished a virtual tour. Definitely check that out on the admissions page. We had a lot of fun doing that. But we obviously are kind of out of a volunteer job right now because we normally give tours. So we're doing these Q&A sessions instead, and hoping that it'll help and assist in your decision-making process. So I chose to be a Mustang mostly because of the Learn by Doing philosophy. The architecture program is pretty nationally renowned. I know there are a couple students looking into architecture or landscape architecture, and I can definitely answer your questions about those programs. But coming in, I knew 3 people at Cal Poly, and I'm sure that that's going to be the way of your life as well, being from out of state. But I definitely was looking to go a little upstream. A lot of my friends stayed in the Midwest for college, and I knew that I didn't necessarily want to do that. Plus great academics, you know, who can turn that down. Plus San Luis Obispo in itself is so gorgeous. It's such a hidden gem on the Central Coast. We are equally far from LA and San Francisco. So it's like perfectly distance between those big cities, so you can access them when you need to, but you still have gorgeous mountains, as you can see behind me. That's kind of what it looks like year round. So 70 and sunny. I can't really disagree with that. Once I visited campus, I definitely knew that this is where I wanted to be. For 5 years. Architecture is 5 years, so I'm here for an eternity, but I'm not arguing because I really love it here. I spend a lot of my free time outside. I've like hiked more these past 2 weeks than I have this entire quarter. So this quarantine has kind of been a blessing in disguise. But it's definitely a difficult decision to make virtually. I can't imagine the like decisions you have ahead of you, but definitely like taking advantage of these Q&A sessions, virtual tours, any opportunity that you have to reach out to your counselors, definitely look to that. My sister's a sophomore in high school, so I kind of understand what you're going through the college decision process. But primarily I'm just going to talk about and answer questions about architecture or being out of state or just a student perspective currently at Cal Poly. Bree, you can take it away.
Cool. So my name is Bree Zidar, pronoun she, her, and hers, and I'm a third-year mechanical engineering major here at Cal Poly. And I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, so not Chicago, but arguably a worse Midwest city. For me, when I was applying to colleges, I was like, Mom, I'm sorry, I'm only applying to schools on the West Coast. Coastal California is where I wanted to be. And I had no idea what I wanted to study, what I wanted to do. And I applied undecided to every other school. And for some reason at Cal Poly, clicked mechanical engineering, but wound up here, and I've loved it so far. Obviously, I volunteer to talk about this university, but something that I think has been really valuable to me, and one of the reasons that I love Cal Poly so much and could not walk away from these 4 years without so much love for this school, is the fact at how collaborative the students are here. So that's something for me that's been really cool. When I first came to Cal Poly, I had no idea how to do any engineering at all. I did not know how to build things or take things apart. And I so distinctly remember my first day of classes, our teacher was like, all right, like, here is a taken apart lawnmower engine. You guys have the next 3 hours to work together and build this thing back up. And it was my first time ever using tools. It was my first time ever seeing something like that being taken apart. But just to be able to walk out of your first quarter, your first year, and have so much knowledge and experience in the field that you are choosing to go into for the rest of your life is so, so valuable. So on the educational side, in my opinion, like, you just can't really beat the ability to be able to learn and to build and to have so many skills and projects under your belt before you graduate without having to do anything extra besides go to your classes. But like I touched on a little bit, the collaborative nature of Cal Poly is so special to me. I don't think I've ever had a class or anything come my way where the students in my class weren't like, all right, let's work together. Let's try and figure this out. There's not really a sense of that competitiveness or wanting to tear each other down. It is so much more just being able to work together and how can we build each other up and figure out this tough stuff. So that's been something that I've loved so much. Like Grace said, we are poly reps. That's something I love to do outside of school too. Being able to give tours of Cal Poly and represent the university really remind me how grateful I am to go here. But again, kind of just echoing Grace, there's so much to do here outside the classroom. And I think a lot of people have this notion in their heads that, oh, like when you're in college, you're either going to be studying in the library until midnight every single night. And that's not really true. There definitely is a balance of like, yeah, some weeks you're putting a little bit more time here or there, but it's awesome to be able to have so many opportunities when you're not in class, whether you want to go hike to the top of the mountain, jump in the ocean, learn how to surf, watch sunset with your friends. There's also like the best breakfast burritos in SLO. I'll say that, like, there's about 10 places that are so good, and that's like one of my favorite things to do is like wake up, grab a breakfast burrito, and go on a good hike with my friends. So Yeah, I'm stoked to answer your guys' questions. Like Grace said, this is such a tough time, and I can't imagine what you guys are going through, having this last bit of your senior year kind of taken away from you. But that being said, I hope that you can get the best experience you can, kind of shadowing colleges and seeing what it's like.
Fantastic, fantastic. You know, I'm gonna tell you one thing about these poly reps. I mean, if I could just, I'd probably save a lot of money, you know, on my Starbucks coffee. If I want, I can just have them touch me like in the morning because they got so much energy. I mean, they actually, I mean, we were on one of the tours, and I kid you not, I was basically sweating and getting tired just watching them move. They're so energetic. I mean, but thanks. That's a great synopsis of campus life. You know, right now I feel like I'm the narrator of the Christmas story. What is it? The Christmas Carol. You know, that's the present. Now we're going to move over into a past alumni, a past, you know, Cali Poly reps. I mean, not reps, but experience. So the next couple I like to introduce would be Kyle and Liani Smothers, right? Yeah.
We're almost there. My name's Kyle. This is Leilani. But yeah, that was kind of like the whole like finding a roommate for life thing was kind of a weird thing that happened at Cal Poly. But I guess I'll kind of talk about my experience when trying to decide between different colleges and then kind of what happened afterwards. So I actually went to high school in Arizona. So I was deciding between schools out of state. So I was looking at engineering specific schools. My major was biomedical engineering. So I was looking at Purdue, not too far away, and then Cal Poly. So I toured both of the schools. Purdue kind of had this very traditional feel. It had a pretty large sports team, sports arenas, stuff like that. Cal Poly, not so much on the sports side, but it had a beach, it had nature. When I toured Purdue, it was 8 degrees. It hurt to be outside. Not necessarily the case at Cal Poly. So, you know, I'm a big sports person. I made the choice of the beach, however. So I chose Cal Poly at that point. While going to Cal Poly, had a great time. I actually held a part-time job after my first year. I got involved with Greek life my first year, fall quarter, my first year at Cal Poly. And then, joined a whole bunch of clubs there. I was a poly rep for a couple of years there as well. So I actually worked at the Starbucks on campus. So I had the best of both worlds, Starbucks and poly reps, had plenty of energy. But I also studied and worked a lot too. So I actually had a job offer before I graduated. So I started working right out of college. And then, now we both live in Austin, Texas. I work for Under Armour now, working on connected footwear. So it's pretty cool. Definitely have Cal Poly to thank for me getting to this process or getting to this point in my life so far. So.
And you also did the 4+1 program.
Yeah. I also got a bachelor's and master's in 5 years because 4 years is not enough to spend in San Luis Obispo. Had to tack on one extra.
So I have a little bit of a different experience. I'm actually a California native, and my intent originally was to stay in state. But the main things that I was looking at when looking at different colleges was looking for one that had a specific college of business. So I graduated a business major, and I didn't want to go to a school that just had, for example, like business economics is a really common major where it's just one major that you can go into. I wanted to go to a place that offered a college of business focus on many different concentrations. So if anyone has gotten accepted to the Orfalea College of Business at Cal Poly, that was really what I was interested in because there was a slew of different concentrations, you know, from finance, accounting, entrepreneurship, marketing, etc. And they also allowed you as a business major to decide up until I believe your first quarter of your junior year to really nail down your concentration, now that you would have kind of a couple of years to figure out what you want, what path you wanted to go down. So I actually concentrated in something that doesn't exist anymore, is international business. But I think that's gotten rolled into just the core business major curriculum. I was also involved in Greek life. I didn't start until my second year, actually. So Greek life, I'll say, I saw a question earlier about that. I'd say it's a little bit more casual at Cal Poly. We're a little bit smaller of a school. Things are much more laid back than what you would think traditionally of having these like huge, fraternity or sorority houses and a giant Greek row. But to some extent, I think you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do, whether you want to get involved in Greek life or other clubs. So I was also involved in a lot of other clubs on campus. And worked as well part-time on campus with club services, as well as through their student government and volunteering there. So I think the student life element was huge for me and just feeling connected with the campus, but also presented a ton of different opportunities, not to just to meet people, but to get connected with other alumni, to companies. And I also took advantage of studying abroad, which actually didn't put me behind by any means, it put me ahead. I was able to go through a program set up by Cal Poly. So faculty from Cal Poly would go. We went to Spain, and I was able to get more units done while studying abroad than I would in a normal quarter at Cal Poly, which was pretty cool. As a result of that, decided to tack on a couple minors. So I minored in Spanish and French just for the heck of it, because I wanted to stay at Cal Poly a little bit longer. And was able to secure a job prior to graduating as well. And I think that's, at least for the College of Business, was huge. They had a really incredible job placement within 3 to 6 months of graduating, or even before you graduated. So that was also important to me.
Fantastic, fantastic. Great job. Thank you. I learned a lot. I was into it. That's fantastic. That's a point of view. We rarely get to hear about people who have graduated and went on and became successful. And I guess that's the bottom line. That's the ROI, the return on investment, is to get out in the world and make your mark. And that's what Cal Poly does best. It puts you to work because you start early. You start doing it, learning about your specific major early, and you get out with experience and current experience, and that's valuable. I know that firsthand. So now we're going to listen to I'm going to say this, Cecily Bright, and is a Cal Poly parent. So it gives you, we have different perspectives, and this is a kind of a inside look into the parent's mind. So Cecily, take it away.
Okay, there we go. I'm learning by doing. I am the parent to 2 Cal Poly students. We are from Boulder, Colorado, so they are also out-of-state students. And my oldest daughter, Emma, she just finished her classes 2 weeks ago and will graduate, I guess, virtually in June with a degree in biology. And then my son, Alexander, is finishing up his sophomore year online. He starts on Monday for his final quarter, and he's studying aerospace engineering. With my daughter, she knew she wanted to go out of state, and she only wanted to go to California. That is what she was interested in. So we toured a bunch of schools, and Cal Poly was on her list. And Cal Poly was the 3rd school on our stop of 7 schools in California that she wanted to see. And once we got to Cal Poly and she took the tour, she said, Mom, I think this is, I don't want to look at anything else. This is where I want to be. She felt safe. She felt comfortable. She said, this is my place. These are my people. I just feel so comfortable on this campus. And she really was intrigued by the Learn by Doing motto. Because she is a biology major, she was really looking forward to the hands-on labs and everything that goes with it. Her freshman year, she joined the COSAM ambassadors. COSAM is the College of Science and Math. It's a beautiful new building, and she's an ambassador, which means that she gets to give tours to prospective biology students and community members, and that has really, really helped her connect with students at the school, and that really became her thing. And she loves being involved with the biology program. She loves the fact that the teacher to student ratio is small. She loves the fact that there are no TAs. If she needs an answer to a question, she goes to her teacher's office hours, never has a problem getting in, and always gets the help that she's looking for. And as a parent, that's really important to me, knowing that, you know, she's talking directly to the teacher who's teaching the class, and that she's able to find help and advice whenever she needs it. She was telling me a story a couple months ago about how she was sitting outside the College of Science and Math building eating her lunch, and one of her professors saw her on the lawn through her office window and came out and joined her on the lawn for lunch. And she said she feels like they're part of a big family, because after 4 years, you really get to know your professors in your major. They're on a first name basis with you. And she just felt that she wouldn't have had that experience and that connection at a bigger school, or a school that maybe used TAs. And she thought that was really important. She has absolutely loved her time at San Luis Obispo. I tried to convince her to come back to Boulder for the shelter in place, and she said, "Mom, I'm home. San Luis Obispo is my home. This is where I want to be right now." Her younger brother, when he was a junior in high school, had received a nomination to the Air Force Academy, and decided to go out and visit his sister just for a fun weekend. And when he came back, he got off the plane and he said, "Mom, I don't know why anybody would go to military school when they can go to school at Cal Poly." And so he did apply there. He was waitlisted and devastated because he had decided that that was the school for him. He did get off the wait list, obviously. He's finishing up his second year, and he also loves Cal Poly, but for different reasons. He plays for the Cal Poly Ultimate Frisbee team, which has been kind of his outlet. He spends a lot of time outdoors. He wanted to make sure that he went to a school where he had an opportunity to do a lot of hiking and biking. Kind of that's his way of decompressing after a long day of school. And all of those things are available to him in San Luis Obispo. They both lived in the dorms their freshman year, and then their sophomore year, they lived in Poly Canyon Village, which is on-campus apartment living, which has its own laundry, and you still get to use the campus food service if you want, but they also have kitchens. And for both of them, that was a really great transition before they moved into their own apartments for their junior years. So they bike everywhere, they hike everywhere, they love their professors, they are so happy at Cal Poly. And as a parent, I feel like they are safe, and I feel like they're getting the attention that they need. And I really do feel like the investment for out-of-state tuition relative to a lot of other California universities, I feel like it is, it's been an excellent investment and pretty inexpensive, again, relative to some of these other California universities that we were looking at. They could not be happier. I could not be happier as a parent, and feeling like, you know, you mentioned return on investment earlier, and that's absolutely what we feel we are getting out of this school. My daughter has applied to Cal Poly for grad school. We're still waiting to see if that's where she's going to be for the next couple of years, but it's been a great experience as a family, and we really couldn't be happier.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. The parent perspective means a lot. I mean, I left home and went to Minnesota, and it was scary, you know, pretty scary, because I was the first to do so. Thank you again for sharing that. Hopefully the students on board put it on speakerphone so their parents can hear it too. So last but not least, we're going to have Jamie Patton. He's the Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs, Diversity, and Inclusion. He's going to talk to you a little bit more in depth about what he does and how it affects you as the student. Jamie.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for having me, or actually good evening out there in Chi-Town. and or that area. My name is Jamie Patton. My preferred pronouns are he, him, his. And again, I welcome you to this virtual experience as you have achieved another excellent milestone in your life. You had to work hard to be admitted to Cal Poly. And I just want to recognize that. Unfortunately, due to this pandemic, your senior year is none like no other. You're going to have stories to tell for a very long time about your senior years. But one of the things that come to mind and I think about with you all is really going to show your resilience, your grit. You're going to be able to walk out of this thing with a different experience and prepared for the future. To share a little bit about me, I joined the Cal Poly family about 3 years ago, just under 3 years ago, and I serve as, again, the Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs for Diversity and Inclusion. My job is to help to cultivate a healthy campus climate where everyone feels they're unique, where they can be their unique and authentic self. In addition, with university partners across campus to make sure everyone feels welcome. One of the things that I like about Cal Poly is that, and or that I love, is experience. I grew up in small Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and actually went to a college that was 3 hours away from home. Granted, y'all will be coming a little bit further, but I had to come, I traveled a distance. And I really had to find myself. I was a first generation college student. At the time, I didn't know the meaning of it, but I was actually Pell Grant eligible. So that meant I was low income. And I really had to figure out how to make it and create community. I achieved in the classroom and outside the classroom because of the connection to faculty and staff. And that's something that you will find here. We want to see you succeed. You'll find us to be nurturing, supportive, and most of all, we want to see you thrive. Whether it's programming and services to help you academically or financially, or events and other opportunities to help you build community, we want to be there for you. Some of the things that truly impresses me about Cal Poly is again, I mentioned it a couple times, but again, our connection to faculty. You know, we are a large institution, but you're going to have the opportunity to work with world-renowned faculty across disciplines. No matter what your major is, you can actually get minors, and you have many opportunities to make connections. I have very little doubt that if you put yourself out there and you make an effort, that you will walk away after your first year to have 1 or 2 faculty members that will be your champion, that will help you find the internships and get connected to alumni. Oh, that's another one, our alumni. When you think about the network that you have the ability to connect with regard to our alumni, it's amazing. When you think about how they come back to our career fairs and the Cal Poly brand, when we talk about, again, return on investment, the network that you are joining as far as Cal Poly and becoming a Mustang and an alum is a beautiful thing. I love that our students, they're all about giving back. Over 950 of our students, about 1,000 of our students each year come back and volunteer for what's called Week of Welcome. And that's when we welcome you to our campus through the cross-cultural experience or the core program, or Week of Welcome, where again, you're getting acclimated to the campus and you're getting connected to the resources in this space we call Cal Poly. 50% of our students are giving back through community service, and that doesn't even include our athletes. So again, we are civic minded, and we know that we are in this place called San Luis Obispo, and we're eager to make sure that we're leaving this place better than what we found it. And then it's been, I want to say it was mentioned earlier, but 93% of our graduates are working within their field of major within 6 months of graduation. So that's an amazing feat. So again, we are here to help you do this thing that's called Learn by Doing. It's something that we are currently practicing even on an institutional level from the president on down as we transition this quarter to a virtual quarter. But our goal remains the same. Our values remain the same. We want to help you achieve your every academic goal that you want. So I'll leave you with one thought, and that thought will be to make sure that when you get here, if you accept this offer of admission, make sure you make this your campus. Use every resource that is available to you. That could be a faculty, a member, it could be a staff member, it could be a fellow student. But utilize those resources, be it in a computer lab or in tutorial sessions or supplemental instruction. You know, they often say the dumbest question is a question that's not asked, but I would say ask all the questions you can. because there are no dumb questions, and that's the only way that you learn is to ask. Okay, I guess another thing I should share is I love Cal Poly because they accept my family. When we moved here, we're all working virtually right now. I don't know if you can see my daughter join me here in my home office, but that's what it's about. It is about the community as well in our family. You'll see the faculty and staff. We're hopeful that you connect with us on a personal level as well, and we're interested in that because we want to see you succeed. You are part of the Mustang family. So again, I welcome you, and go Mustangs.
Yes. Thank you, Jamie. Well said. Yes, I'll dovetail just real quickly because we're going to get into the Q&A real quick. You got to use the resources. It's there. It's helpful when you need it. And you know what? Sometimes just go into the office and just grab a free pen. Just say, hey, how you guys doing? But use the resources. It's there for you. And when you come to campus, yes. So with no further ado, I want to thank the panel. But you stay on because I'm going to need your brains a little bit longer. And we have a few questions we want to get into right away. And I got the first question here is, and the question is, how does Cal Poly compare to larger UCs and private schools across the nation? Who wants to take that?
Well, I'll start, and then I got to mute myself again really quick. But I just want to say from a student life and a student affairs perspective, we are hopeful that we're providing, yes, we're a large school, but we're providing a small school experience, almost like a private. When you think about the work of our Dean of Students and our assistants and associate deans for student success and retention, when you think about the associate deans that are in each of the academic colleges, we want to see you succeed. We want to see you thrive. And we truly believe in what we call this thing called the Mustang family. So it's our goal that, again, we feel much like a private institution where as long as you ask for help, we're going to get to know you and we're going to help you along. And even if you don't need help, we're going to make sure that you're aware of all the resources that are available.
I kind of talk about the interaction of a college town because typically in a lot of other college towns, while SLO is half the population in SLO, it definitely doesn't feel like a typical college town, if that makes sense. When I was touring, I toured in New York and Texas. I even looked in Illinois, and I looked in my home state of Minnesota, and all of the residents had moved away or were super cynical when it came to college students. Oh, you loud kids, but SLO's not like that at all. I have a neighbor across the street who's 94, and she bakes us pies all the time. And my neighbors next door have chickens, and they give us eggs, and I nanny around the neighborhood pretty regularly. So the community of San Luis Obispo makes it feel more like home rather than just a college town. And that's even apart from the campus. So my life on campus is great, but also my home life is still very regular because I have a neighborhood community as well.
And
Great.
I can chime in.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
I'm assuming it's University of California system versus our CSU system. I have a brother who went to UCLA, and I think the main differences there I'll touch on is class size, access to your teacher, and then also cost. And then I think the focus on undergraduate versus graduate. So based on the experiences that I had in comparison to my brother at UCLA, he had lecture halls regularly with 1,000 people or more. The largest lecture I ever had was maybe 300, and that was rare. I think class size was really small, especially as you get farther into your major curriculum. You're looking at maybe closer to 20 to 30 people at most. And then you always have access to your professors. I never had a class that was taught by a TA, for example, which is, I think, generally what you see at larger universities and UCs. And then finally, Cal Poly does have a pretty good focus on the undergraduate experience, which is going to be really important. Whereas a lot of the UCs or larger universities are more research focused or maybe graduate program focused. So that's maybe why you don't always see your professors at these larger UC universities and the TAs are teaching. So I just wanted to call those things out, and I think influences, the benefits of going to Cal Poly versus a UC.
Yeah, I'd like to just echo that definitely the class sizes is really important. I think what makes Cal Poly feel a lot smaller. Since you start out in your major specific classes, you really get to know not only your teachers really well right off the bat, but you also get to know your classmates. So for 4 years, you really create a community of people who are all studying the same thing as you. That's really cool. I've been here for 3 years and I've never had a class with more than about 35 students. So having that's really cool. At the same time, since Cal Poly is still a public university, when you're looking at the networking opportunities and what you do after graduation, you have the resources of a huge public university of 22,000 people to turn to, which I think is a benefit more than having like a smaller school. So you do get the plus sides of it feeling really small, but then also the plus sides of actually having an enormous network to reach out to.
Fantastic, fantastic. Second question, what can you advise my parents about going to college out of state?
My parents love that I went to college out of state because it means they get to visit me all the time.
That's because you went to Cal Poly.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody went to come to Minnesota for me.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a younger sister, as I said, she's a sophomore in high school, and they try and come out to Cal Poly at least once a year. And instead of like going home for Thanksgiving break, sometimes they'll come out here. And it's a really nice place to visit. Like even when I'm in class, they're able to like go to the dunes or go to the beach. There's like a ton of activities as like a vacation spot. It's definitely a lot easier to get here than people realize. Like, yes, we are in San Luis Obispo, but we have a regional airport. Our rideshare program is super great. So like, aside from like parents getting here, you getting home, you can go to the Bay and fly out of SFO. We have a lot of connecting flights in our regional airport. And the train system's also really great too. So I love it when my parents visit.
Something really cool, at least for me, was I kind of framed it to my mom in the way of, I'm going to be gone for 4 years anyway. Like, it's really important to me that I get to switch my perspective up. So just from talking to a bunch of my high school peers who stayed in Ohio or stayed really close to the Midwest, how their experience has varied so much from mine, just because I get to be surrounded by people from California who grew up really differently, who have all these different backgrounds. And for me, that's been such a cool experience to be able to be like, oh, well, like I'm from Ohio and we did all these things one way, and now you get to be gone for 4 years and explore so many new perspectives that you maybe wouldn't get the chance to if you stay close to home.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's education in and of itself. We call them states, but they could very well be countries in other regions. They are countries.
I would just add that, yeah, I mean, some parents are going to boo-hoo and others are going to woo-hoo. As you look at the backdrops of some of the pictures of San Luis Obispo, truly that's what it is. So some parents actually love it. And when we say your student is a part of Mustang family, know that includes you. So know that sometimes parents, they come out here and we have to tell them to go home because they want to stay till October. That's not possible, especially our out-of-state parents. But truly, it is a place where your students will have an opportunity to grow in a part of the country that has natural beauty, that has balance. And again, they're going to get a good education. And we encourage you to visit. We have things like Family Weekend and Parent and Family Weekend. During Week of Welcome, we have special sessions just for parents and supporters. We have a barbecue that first night of move-in, where we're welcoming, especially our out-of-state parents. We know, the stress of moving your student across the country, especially from Chicago, and we want to alleviate that and really, again, make sure that you feel like you're welcome and you have the ability to communicate with anybody at the institution.
Fantastic, great, good insights. Good insights. As I mentioned before, it's an education in and of itself. At least for me. I had never been out of Illinois before I went to Minnesota, so it was good to know. The third question, what is the transportation like on and off campus? I definitely can't answer that.
I can talk about that a little bit. So freshmen can't have cars on campus. They're like first year, but after that you are allowed to have cars on campus. We're not a very big commuter campus, so there's a lot of opportunity to like walk and bike if you live off campus, but that's pretty close. I primarily use the public transit system. You get a Poly card once you come to Cal Poly, and that's not only like your meal swipes, and also like availability for printing, and it can sometimes get you into like Cal Poly buildings. It also is your bus ticket, so you like swipe that on the public transit system, and that is free for you. I do have a moped here on campus, and that's how I get around. I have a couple friends who have cars who use that to get to school, but it's so nice out. Everyone pretty much has a bike here, and there's tons of bike racks everywhere, and pretty much all of our streets here in San Luis Obispo are bike friendly as well.
Anyone else? Great. Good answer. Good answer. All right. Last question. Oh, come on, you guys. I know you have more questions. When I come to visit you guys, you have all the questions. Okay. All right. Number 4. What are the favorite Cal Poly traditions? And you can't say surfing. We get mad in Chicago here.
Okay, I'll start, I guess. One of my favorite traditions is called the Tri-Tip Challenge. So if you can tell from our backgrounds, Cal Poly is surrounded a little bit by mountains. So something really fun that students kind of created is something called the Tri-Tip Challenge. So you hike 3 of Cal Poly's, or 3 of San Luis Obispo's mountains, which are the Cal Poly P, really fun mountain right on campus, Bishop's Peak, the tallest peak, and then Cerro San Luis Mountain or Madonna Mountain. You hike them all 3 in the same day, and then you celebrate with a tri-tip sandwich. And a tri-tip sandwich, tri-tip is like a California cut of meat. I know that I super wasn't familiar with that, but that's one of my favorite traditions because it gets like everyone moving and outside, and it's really fun to be able to say you did that.
My favorite tradition is bike night. Every Thursday night, we have a farmer's market downtown. They block off like 5 blocks just for local food vendors. All of the restaurants have booths. And then the first Thursday of every single month, we have bike night. And so everyone like puts lights all around their bikes, straps on like a ton of speakers, and everyone's in costumes, and you just essentially ride around downtown yelling bike night at each other. And that's all you do for hours. And that is your entertainment and your enjoyment for your Thursday night, which like I have class on Friday. So I just go hang out with my friends, like not worry about the homework that I had to do the next morning, and just hang out and yell bike night. So that's probably one of my favorites.
I think this has kind of been touched on in the chat, but I think our week of welcome is such a huge tradition that you'll have the opportunity to be a part of, called Wow Week, and then you all will be called Wowies as people in orientation. I myself was a Wow leader, which was a lot of fun. So in your second year, you can volunteer to do that, and I think it's well worth it. I'm still friends with people I met in my own orientation week, and then also when I was a Wow leader, some of my Wowies I'm still friends with. So I think it's a great way to really kick off your experience at Cal Poly and make those connections and friendships. And I think that's going to be one of the best traditions that I can take away.
Great, fantastic. Now, good perspective. How do I find research and job opportunities on and off campus?
So I was able to, there's actually a few clubs that you can join that have some extracurricular. It's not necessarily academic research, but you're getting a lot of hands-on experience. So one of the things I did was with Society of Women Engineers, they have this kind of engineering problem that they try to solve every year. And so you are basically broken up into teams and you solve this very specific engineering problem. One of the years we had to design a medical device. It was as a team of people in college. So that was pretty cool. I went to work for a medical device company after I graduated. So that definitely helped me get that job. I also did research prior to getting a master's, so there's definitely some opportunity there to work closely with faculty to do some research. And then for my master's thesis, I did microsurgeries on mice. So there's definitely opportunities all around campus to get involved and definitely learn by doing.
Anybody else on the panel?
Yeah. So something else really cool is Cal Poly has awesome career fairs. So a couple times a year, Cal Poly has huge career fairs with like, I don't want to toss out a number because I'm probably going to be wrong, but hundreds of companies. And it's really cool because you get to talk to companies ranging from huge companies like Adobe, Apple, Google, all these big companies to small local companies or maybe more niche companies within your major. And you can end up getting really cool internships or jobs without ever having to leave campus. That's something that's really cool that I've used in the past. And yeah, I just like to shout out our awesome career fairs.
All right. Good. Here's a hard one. How do I deal with homesickness?
So one of the programs that we have here at Cal Poly is our local connections program. And so if you're an out-of-state student, for example, and while you know you have the support and the connection to your family members back home, we have a program here where local faculty, staff, and community members will essentially adopt you your first year. They'll take you out for coffee or a snack or whatever you may need. They'll be there to invite you to different events that they may be having on campus. If you want to go to an athletic event or do something, they're fairly committed to connecting, being connected and following up on an as needed basis. It's not like something where you have to meet with them weekly, but it just provides you that local contact with someone who knows the region, knows the area, and who's willing to be that person. A lot of times, or some of the times, they're former, some may be retired faculty and staff members, but sometimes, you know, I have a couple of colleagues who currently work at Cal Poly, who are connected to the program. And again, it's just another way of finding a connectedness. So I believe it's called Local Connections. You'll get information about it as you matriculate into campus over the next couple of months. It's really, really cool.
Great answer.
So we're still talking about homesickness, correct?
Yes.
So I got really homesick when I was a freshman. I actually very highly contemplated transferring back home to Minnesota because I saw all of my friends who went to the U of M together and were together and were still hanging out. And I just felt like I just hadn't made those connections yet. And it really just took a lot of time and a couple care packages from my mom, in all actuality, to make Cal Poly feel like home. I know Jamie was talking about making a very large university feel small. And that happened through Greek life with me. I joined a sorority and a ton of other clubs that Week of Welcome, we have a club showcase where you get to go around to every single club that you want to and get information on them and put your email in for an info email. And I signed up for probably 30 clubs. I'm still probably only in 3 of them now. But just finding your niche and finding your friends. Week of Welcome, my dorm friends. So the way that Week of Welcome kind of manifests itself in the dorms is your Week of Welcome WOW group is actually going to be within your dorm or your living learning community. And so you're going to be living with these people. You're going to spend an entire week with them. So you're kind of having a set of built-in friends. I know that we've had a lot of questions about housing because Cal Poly's housing is really different. They're not based on the building. So you're not going to say oh, I want to live in Yaki Tutu or the Red Bricks. You're actually going to choose a living learning community. And so that can be your major specific. So if you want to live in engineering dorms, you can, but you can also go based on interest. So I was in an academically centered environment LLC. And so my friends within my WOW group, as well as in my dorm, were also in an academically centered environment. So we started off college in a WOW group with a ton of people who had the same interest as me. So it kind of created that community for me before I even got to Cal Poly, which was really helpful in all actuality. I mean, I came into Cal Poly knowing 3 people from Minnesota, so I totally get it, being worried, but it really just takes time in all actuality.
Great. Thank you. If none of that works, just text me and I'll text you back or send you a FaceTime of me shoveling snow, and that'll brighten your day. All right, last question. Is it easy to apply for minors and majors and double majors? That should be a one answer question. Answer. Anybody want to take it?
I can talk a little bit about at least the minor experience. I mentioned that coming back from study abroad, I decided in my third year to minor in Spanish and French. And I think the supportive nature of Cal Poly, and especially because it was different from my major, right? So my major being business, and then the minors were actually in, I should know this, College of Liberal Arts, maybe? You guys could probably correct me on that. What I did was I reached out to each of the advisors of that college and I said, listen, this is what I want to achieve. What do I have to do? And what's the plan to get there? And I think each of the Spanish and then the French advisors were able to work with me to figure out how to get that minor curriculum, given my schedule and given the fact that I think I only had maybe 3 quarters left to achieve it. So they were able to adapt that according to what I wanted to achieve and also according to what I needed to complete prior to graduation. And it was a matter of doing the reach out myself. So you do have to be a little bit proactive, hopefully a little bit better at planning in terms of timing, and knowing that this is what you want to do. But a lot of times if you do have an opportunity to seek out a minor, I think recommending reaching out to your counselor or these specific advisors who lead those departments and just having the time to figure out whether this is feasible. And I think having access to these departments and the advisors there is really great at Cal Poly because I could just send them an email and they responded right away.
So I have a minor in sustainable environments, and a lot of my minor classes actually transfer over into general education classes. So I'm going to be taking a natural resources class next quarter that counts for my 16 units towards my minor, but it also doubles over into a GE course. So you're not just taking on all these courses blindly and saying well, I have to complete all these classes. You can actually just double up. And so you're taking GE classes that you actually enjoy instead of taking a GE just to fulfill a GE, if that makes sense.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. We're going to wrap it up with this one last question to the panel. Share one favorite thing about Cal Poly or one piece of advice you would give to our prospective students.
Just one?
Just one.
Oh man, so I'll kick it off. I'll start with Mott Magic because I think it encompasses more than just one thing, and that's the support of our student athletes and our Mustang Athletics. We have an incredible athletic program led by our women's volleyball team, and our basketball teams are on the upward trend. But it's just something when you think about community, you think about the college experience, and athletics a lot of times is the center of that or a part of that. And I think what we have in our Mott Athletic Center, when you see it, it's a special place. And I believe in Mott Magic. I'm a believer.
Due to the fact I do have a roommate for life and she's currently pregnant, I need to say my favorite part about Cal Poly was meeting my wife. And I'm just
I was going to say
good answer.
Take advantage of the time that you have at Cal Poly and really enjoy it.
Go ahead, Bree.
Smart man.
One piece of advice I would give would be to take classes outside of your major. If you do come to Cal Poly, you are at a school that has such a wide breadth of reach in so many different places. Take classes in gender studies and ethnic studies and wine tasting and beekeeping. You're at an age where you're able to absorb so much and you're surrounded by the largest wealth of knowledge that you will ever be. Take advantage of that. College is really about growing and changing and figuring yourself out. So definitely step outside your comfort zone because that is where you're going to grow. As far as one thing I love about Cal Poly, I literally could not pick it if I tried, but I'll be super generic and just say the people because, you really do just get to meet a whole new family here, and it's unbelievably special.
So my dad likes to say that I shouldn't let my education get in the way of my college experience. And I think that really speaks volumes to Cal Poly, because of course you're going to get a top-notch education here, but the life that you live outside of your education is really what you're going to remember here. Like, you're not going to remember your Comms 101 course. You're going to remember the time that you went to the beach with your friends and got like sunburned all over, because I mean, how could you not remember that? But you're just going to remember all of the things that like outside of Cal Poly, but that brought you to Cal Poly, if that makes sense. I really came to Cal Poly for the education, and then I got here and I really stayed for SLO itself. Being a Midwesterner, like, it was such a change in culture. And Bree and I talk about this all the time because it's crazy. And you're learning so many perspectives. Like, if you didn't come to Cal Poly, there's no way you would have gotten those experiences. And it's really an incredible education outside of the classroom. I mean, obviously, like, the people are great. Like Bree said, it's going to be super basic. But like, the people that I've met here have honestly like changed my life. I was really closed-minded when I came into Cal Poly and just thought like, oh, Minnesota's the best state. Like, I'll go back there. It'll be great. But then I came to California and I was like, wow, like, I have no idea what I was missing. And just getting outside of the Midwest bubble definitely helped me evolve as a person. And I'm very thankful and very lucky that 18-year-old me decided to come to Cal Poly. And I look back on those days really fondly. So.
Great job. Great job. I want to thank you all for taking the time out and sharing, you know, part of your life, part of your story, the Cal Poly story. We like I said, it's invaluable information, and I thank you all for taking the time to do that. And the students on the call, you know, just in closing, I would like to thank you, your parents, your supporters. You know, you don't get there alone. I know that there's a group of caring individuals that are helping you make this decision. And I would say to you in closing, I made that decision a long time ago, and I did go out of state. And I don't regret it, because the same thing you're talking about, Grace, is what I found. You know, like I said, we call them states, but they're actually, you know, could be countries. They have a culture of their own. And if you don't venture out to experience that, you're missing the whole essence of education. It's an education in and of itself. And I thank you guys for, like I said, giving Cal Poly a closer look. We expect you to be on campus. See, that's my mindset. I'm going to make sure that I do everything I can. The next slide, I'm going to leave my information with you. And do not feel shy. Don't feel shy. Call me up. You know, like I said, I'm a Chicagoan. You know, I'm a Chicagoan. I'm an Illinoisan, however you want to say it. And I want to talk to you about the experience, at least, of what I know of Cal Poly. One story I have to tell: I was walking down the street with one of the co-workers, and a random lady stopped us and she said to us, "Hi, how are you? I just overheard what you said, and I just want to make sure that your experience here is so nice." I looked at Jim and I was like, "Did she really say that?" And that's the kind of people that is in that area. And I was floored. And Jim Soto, hey, he's with me, and you know, I'm making sure that I've never experienced that in my whole entire life. All right. So again, thank you very much. And if you are looking at the slide, jot down my number. Give me a call. I'm up at least until 10 o'clock. Call me up, and if you have anything you want from the panel, just call the admissions, or email admissions at calpoly.edu, and we'll get back to you. If you need it right away, I'm right here in Crete, Illinois. Give me a call. All right, thank you very much.